Because I've run out of material. Yes. Yes.
Hey, hello. Hello.
He's got all the questions today right now.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Yes, yes, of course. Yes.
Flora, gliela faccio in italiano? Sì, prego. Tron nell'82 è stato per molti di noi un'apripista per la carriera che abbiamo avuto in futuro. Lui come si è relazionato all'epoca con la tecnologia e se oggi si relaziona bene con la tecnologia?
That's a good question. When we made the original Tron, we didn't have a computer that's sitting in front of you right now. The terminology was totally like a foreign language. You know, you just did, what is a ROM, CROM, you know, Tron, all this stuff. What is a user? I mean, I fight for the users. What did that mean? What's a user? You know, but that was part of the charm of it. We didn't know what we were doing, so we kind of made it up as we went along. But the technology, you know, you're not the first person. I often have people walk up to me and say, you know, Mr. BOXLEITNER, I went into computer software because I was, as a boy or as a girl, I was very influenced by the movie Tron. And why is that? I ask, you know, I'm wondering, it's like this fantasy story of sort of Alice in Wonderland, where a guy gets, like Alice did, down through the world below. He goes into the game grid, and Jeff Bridges' character, Kevin Flynn, and it's a very, why would that influence people into going to computers? I'm asking you the question back, let's have a dialogue here. Go on.
Perché era una novità e soprattutto era un film fatto estremamente bene, in cui la tecnologia era realmente la tecnologia dell'epoca. E ha aperto gli occhi a molte persone.
It did. It was called computer graphics.
Yeah.
And Tron was the first movie to use the combined live action with live actors and that animation. Those suits we had on were black and white spandex tights, okay? And we had like a Sharpie magic marker. They put the circuitry, they drew the circuitry in, and the magic thing happened. We had circuitry going, you know, blue or what have you, or red or whatever the color was. And that was where the computer had done that. I've told this story before, that that year, Tron was ineligible for the Oscars because they said we had cheated for animation, because we used a computer. Well, it's the only way we do animation nowadays is with a computer, but back then they thought that was cheating. We didn't draw it. Yeah, the technology was very new. The motion picture industry saw this as another way to look how far we've come. I think what's wonderful, the difference between the original Tron and Tron Legacy is reflected in the movies. I mean, the video game world. Look what the video games we had back then were arcade games, like Donkey Kong, you know. I mean, it was like bing, 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 bing. And now there's sophisticated stories, there are worlds created very cinematically. I've got a video game coming out in a year, I think it's called Special Ops 5. I've been working on that for almost a year, too. Doing some acting in that. And that's another field for actors, too, to do the video game voiceover work. It's a hugely lucrative field for actors now. But I think the two movies really reflect how far we've come in computer-generated imagery, too. So, I mean, it's... but at first, the industry did not know what to think of Tron, and when the movie didn't do well, financially, and it didn't, they kind of backed away from it. Everybody thought that this computer-generated imagery is going to be the next new thing. This was in the 80s. And then when Tron kind of had a lackluster premiere and the industry immediately got kind of frightened of it. Well, maybe this isn't the next new thing, you know? And so they backed off from it. And now, just about everything you see in motion pictures is computer imagery, you know? But it's marvelous because we can create such incredible worlds now. Look at science fiction certainly has benefited from this new technology. We can create all kinds of different worlds. Vast epic canvases, you know, that you would have had, we could have never gotten that many. Lord of the Rings, you couldn't have found that many extras for those big battle scenes and things like that, or Braveheart, or any of the big epic movies we've had, all use computer-generated imagery to create that size, that huge size in those worlds. 3D is going to be the next thing that we will be doing, and one day we will look and go, did we actually look at things in 2D? Because everything, 3D is becoming so developed. I was at just a few weeks ago during the Oscar campaigns. I went to several award shows, always following Martin Scorsese, who I think is one of the great film directors of our time. And he is openly embracing, he's got Hugo, I don't know, did anybody see Hugo?
Yeah.
Yes. He really is embracing this 3D. He wants to see this go further and further, where we won't have to put on glasses. That's coming. James Cameron is doing the same thing. You know, we're pushing the technology of filmmaking and storytelling. We have actors now that are just, you show up and you put on this suit, and it's got all kinds of, what's the word I want? Markers.
Reflector.
Motion capture sensors.
Sensors, that's what I, thank you, sir. From the peanut gallery back there. Anyway, yes, these motion sensors. I had to do that for Tron. They put me in a Tron Legacy just to capture my facial movements, my twitches, my cheeks, my lips moving, the way my eyebrows go up and down. I sat in this sphere of lights. It looked like something out of E.T. I thought they were going to take me and fly me away to the planet somewhere. And I sat in this thing, and inside there were dozens of little cameras. And they had all these sensors put on my face, all my various, you know, forehead, cheeks, chin, nose, lips, ears, eyelids, everything. And what I did for about 15 minutes was just make all kinds of faces. Talk, scream, yell, frown, happy, all these things. But all of that was being used to capture my face, and that would later be used in the flashback sequences of Tron Legacy as the younger Tron. You know, it's just a fascinating process. Does anyone remember the film Beowulf that came out? Ray Winston and all these actors, Crispin Glover, all of them, Anthony Hopkins, all of them were animated. But they were all, when they shut, yes, Angelina Jolie. Oh yes, Angelina. Yeah. But all of them were in this animated form. He does all of the Polar Express now, that's what Zemeckis is doing. But you come into an empty soundstage, they have some basic sets up, and you're wearing these suits with sensors all over them and little cameras and things like that. And you're doing a whole performance, and then suddenly you see it, and there it is in this animated film. And it's, you know, to me, there's some actors that say it's not acting. I say it is. I say it's just another, it's like wearing some new prosthetic makeup. It's a new form of storytelling. You're still acting, the performance is still coming through. It's getting better, but remember Gollum in Lord of the Rings. What's his name again? Oh my God.
Anthony Serkis.
See, I just asked you the questions and you have the answer. Yes, I met him at a convention in London, in fact. But he's kind of been the forerunner of all the actors. He's kind of the godfather of this kind of acting. He played King Kong as well. He played in the role as a sailor, and then he also played King Kong. And, so it's quite amazing. quite amazing. The new technologies we're using now, I think, is just furthering our abilities to tell the story, tell stories. That's what we do. We tell stories in a more interesting and newer way. So.
Bruce,
Yes.
Italian.
given what you've just described about spending 15 minutes while they're capturing your facial expressions for a full-length film, do you feel a little uneasy about being paid for 15 minutes work rather than being paid for appearing in the entire film, because now they've got you in the computer, they don't need Bruce BOXLEITNER anymore?
I don't think you would get paid any less. I really don't, because if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or it's 2 hours, you were hired for a job, you make a certain fee, they come to that. I don't think you're being paid by the minute, whether it's 100, 240 minutes or 360 minutes or whatever it is in 5 minutes.
The image that went through my head was Laurence Olivier, long dead,
Yes.
in Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Yes, yes.
You don't even
He was marvelous.
alive anymore.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, I don't know. I'll worry about that after I'm dead. No, no. I agree with you. I agree with you. That movie, entirely shot very much like Tron, Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Oh, I love that.
It was just a bare bones set. They had a desk in his office and something like that. The rest was all animated in.
And oddly enough, Angelina Jolie again.
Yes. She seems to crop up in all of these things.
With a nice eye patch.
Yes. Yes. And she doesn't have any of her tattoos showing. No, I just think it's all... People are afraid of change. The motion picture industry. I mean, this year, the best picture was a silent movie. How audacious to make a silent movie in 2012. But I found myself just smiling through the whole thing. And I realized that even with all the technology that we have, the very simple thing is that we didn't even need words. Sorry, Peter. We didn't even need words to tell a story. It's very simple core. Even the silent films were a great storytelling.
I would write the plot, just not the dialogue.
Yes, exactly. But it's very exciting. I think there are so many new things coming technologically, that my God, we're just going to. Storytelling is becoming such an incredible thing. There's no limit to what they can tell. James Cameron is another one who is an absolute pioneer. And
If you like getting wet.
yes, well, he does have a penchant for the water. But look at how Avatar was. I mean, Avatar was a wonderful movie. I mean, that world that he created there was just so colorful, so vivid. And just that process, I think we totally bought it. We totally, we bought the live stuff and the animated stuff. It's a wonderful world. Animation is not just cartoons anymore.
No.
Children's cartoons. Tron Uprising is not a child's show. It's anything that adults would love. So.
Un'altra domanda?
Qual è il suo rapporto con la tecnologia?
Oh, what is your relationship with technology? Did you use it a lot?
Me, I was rather late in coming to it. Okay? Yes, I'm Tron, but I was still fumbling. My iPhone, I can do about 3 things with this thing, and this iPhone has so many possibilities, so many things you can do with it, and I'm still discovering it. Let me just say that to you. Yeah, my knowledge on a computer, I can